as leaders, if we don't have clarity of the path that we are walking down and that we're training other disciples, leaders, and churches to walk down, it becomes a barrier to multiplication. Today, I want to share with you about the importance of the clear path and give you an example of how you can help train leaders to find a clear path and articulate that so that you can see multiplication. That's coming up. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Multiplying Disciples channel. My name is Mark, and here on this channel, we give you simple, practical tools, principles, insights, and strategies that are powerful, practical, strategic to help you to see multiplication of disciples, leaders, and churches until there is no place left. So if that appeals to you, take a minute to hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, be sure to ring the bell so that this content shows up in your inbox and we can get this content out there farther to more people. So this video, I want to talk to you about this clear path. Now, when it comes to seeing a movement grow, there are three major components to this, and that is a big vision, a God-sized vision. That is a clear path, and that is simple methods or simple tools to get there. Now, you need all three of these things when you are trying to navigate somewhere in your car, right? You need to have a vision. Where are we going? How will we know when we get there? If you don't have clarity of where you're going, you're not going to know when you've arrived. So you need to know where you're going. But you also need to have the tools. So you need to have a car, and you need to be able to drive that car if you're going to arrive at the destination. But if you have a car and you have an endpoint, but you don't know the path to get there, you might eventually get there, but it's going to take a long time, and you're not going to go forth with urgency and confidence to get there. So a clear path is critical. Now, one of the challenges, or I should say symptoms of the reality of the culture in the West is that we have got so much knowledge, access to so many resources that can become paralyzing. And when you begin to talk about a clear path to multiply disciples, oftentimes leaders have got so many tools in their tool belt and so many things going on that their path becomes really complicated, and maybe they can intuitively navigate it, but try to multiply that to another generation, and that is the end of the multiplication that's going to happen, because the leaders that they begin to train up are overwhelmed, weighed down, if you can see this figuratively, by so many tools in their tool belt that they can barely walk, let alone actually get the job done. So a clarity of the path for you and training your disciples in that clear path can be the difference between seeing multiplication of confident, competent disciples and none. So I began to share this with a couple of networks that I've been working with recently. One of them is in the collegiate space, and the other is in the youth ministry, high school and middle school space. And we began to this summer to develop a clear path of discipleship. Now, with the guy that I work with in the collegiate space, his name's Marcus. And as we have worked to identify the clear path, I mostly was just there to help him to talk through what he already had. Now I want to put that up on the screen. This is Marcus's clear path, what I like to say from lost to leader. He's got a clear understanding of what it looks like to take somebody from the lost place to the place of leadership. Now, I'll unpack this just a little bit. You see here that there is a sharing of the gospel that happens. And then after that gospel is shared, which is what Jesus commands us to do, there is a filter that happens here. And we call this the red light, yellow light, green light tool, or the traffic light tool. And if somebody's a red light, then you bless them, you move on. But if somebody responds with, maybe I'd like to hear that again, or a green light, I want to learn how to follow Jesus, this comes from Acts 17, then you are helping them to take a next step. Now, if they're a yellow light, they want to study more, Marcus identified using the stories of hope here to help those disciples to discover more about Jesus, specifically through stories focused on repentance. And then the outcome here, if they choose to do that and they're baptized, then they begin to grow as disciples. Now, if they're a green light, they're going to go to the same place that yellow light that has been baptized and becomes a green light goes to, and that is the short-term discipleship process. Marcus came up with a plan, and his plan looks like the 3/3, using the church circle is what it's called. And I'm not going to unpack all of these tools today, but I just want to show you kind of what this picture can look like. 3/3 and church circle, where they are working their way through this short-term discipleship with commands of Christ. Now, out of that, I should highlight that he uses a tool called the 411 initially to vision cast and set them up for their mission field. Now, out of that, as these disciples begin to participate in this church and they begin to grow, some of them are going to be leaders. Now, how do you define leadership? Well, Marcus defined them, and that's how I would as well, as those that are faithful, available, sharing, teachable, or fast obedience. And so if they have that, then they're going to go down this track towards the leadership track. And then if they don't, they're going to be staying in the church. That's not a disqualification, but they're not there at this point. So if they have those qualifications, then they begin to engage into this leadership track where they're focused on being a part of an A team, an accountability team, focused on multiplying a few, 1, 3, 9. And then they're participating in regular iron on irons where they are getting peer coaching and growing to see multiplication of disciples past the barriers that they're at to get to a next generation. And then ultimately, this funnels back into not the same church, but the planting of a new church that can multiply disciples. Now, there's a lot going on here, and I'm not going to unpack all these tools, like I said, but what's helpful about this today, if you've seen some of the other content we've shared on this channel, is that Marcus has clarity of his path now. Now, if he can begin to help his disciples, his leaders, have clarity of that path as well, that means that those leaders are no longer going to have that roadblock of they've got tools in their tool belt. They know the destination that they're going in their car. They know how to drive the car, but no idea what path they're going down. Now, if they've got clarity of the path, they can begin to navigate towards the destination. Now, even if, as they're driving on, like you would use this analogy of Google Maps, and they're driving towards the destination and they get off track or they get lost, they know enough of the clear path and they know the destination, they can get back on track. So the clear path, what it's not, I want to talk to you about what it's not as well in this video. So what it is a way to empower leaders to begin to understand loss to leader with enough clarity that they're going to take action and not just be weighed down by too many options. But what it's not is necessarily an exacting science or an exacting thing that you've got to follow every single time with a disciple. Discipleship's messy. It's never going to follow exactly this path for any person, but it can generally look like this, and there's reasons why for each of these tools, and we can help to instill the principles behind the tools in the disciple by first training them in the path. So the path is a starting point for empowering a disciple, getting the conversation going around strategically how to develop them and how to develop a strategy together to reach a target mission field, and then for that to pass downstream so that there's no barrier to getting to the destination because people don't know the clear path that they are going down. So hope that's been helpful for you. You can steal the clear path that Marcus and I put together here, or you can develop your own. But the point is you need to have clarity of loss to leader, or if you don't, somewhere in there, somebody else is going to come in and hijack your path, or you're never going to arrive at your destination. So you need a clear path, and you need to be training your disciples and leaders in what that clear path is so that they can begin to internalize that and go forward with confidence to multiply churches to new people and new places. So hope that's helpful for you guys. Blessings. I'll see you guys next time.